He's sitting alone at the bar, a quiet stranger nursing a beer, his face carved up with scars, and his teeth capped in cold steel. Around him, a room full of hardened gangsters brag about a recent killing. Then the stranger starts to laugh, low, ugly, and in that laugh, every man in the room senses that something very bad is about to happen to all of them. What they don't know yet is that this scarred man came here to bury them, and by the end of the night, this locked private bar will become a slaughterhouse. This is the story of Avengement. The morning starts in the back of a police van. A prisoner named Cain Burgess is being escorted under heavy guard, chained and watched by armed officers, who clearly consider him extremely dangerous. They pull up at a hospital, and Cain is walked inside, still cuffed. But the moment they arrive, a nurse gives them terrible news. Cain's mother has already passed away that same morning. They've come too late. The officers shrug it off. One of them tells Cain there's no point going in now. She's gone, so they might as well turn around and take him straight back to prison. But Cain quietly insists. He wants to see his mother's body. Something in his voice makes them allow it. He steps into the room, looks down at the woman who raised him, and in that silent moment you can feel years of grief and rage building inside him. This was the one person he still cared about, and the system kept him from reaching her in time. Then, in a burst of sudden violence, Cain explodes. He turns on the officers who delayed him, overpowers his guards despite his restraints, and breaks free. Bloodied and desperate, he escapes into the city, a hunted man now on the run, with nothing left to lose. Cain makes his way to a private members' bar tucked away behind a locked door. Two bouncers block his path and tell him to get lost. It's members only, and they're closed. Cain claims he's a member. When they refuse, he doesn't argue. He simply beats both bouncers unconscious and walks right in, calm as anything, like he owns the place. Inside, the bar is full of local criminals. A tough barmaid named Bez sizes him up and offers him a drink. Cain, hiding just how dangerous he is, orders a beer and takes a quiet seat in the corner. He's watching, listening, waiting. As he drinks, he overhears a loudmouth patron named Toon telling the others a story. Toon is bragging about how a fellow gangster named Rook was recently killed by some unknown attacker. A brutal, mysterious hit that nobody can explain. The men laugh and swap theories about who could have done it, and that's when Cain begins to laugh too, because he knows exactly who did it. His laughter offends everyone. Toon snaps at him, demanding to know what's so funny. The whole room turns hostile. Cain, unbothered, tells them he's a friend of the bar's owner, a crime boss named Lincoln. That name means something here, but it doesn't calm anyone down. Tempers flare, insults fly, and within moments a full brawl breaks out. But Cain isn't just some drunk who wandered in. He fights like a machine, dropping men with brutal efficiency. And then, to end all argument, he pulls out a sawed-off double-barreled shotgun and points it at the room. Suddenly the tough guys go quiet. Cain has taken the entire bar hostage. Not long after, one of Lincoln's top lieutenants, a man named Hyde, walks in. He takes one look at the scarred gunman and recognizes him instantly. This isn't just some stranger. This is Cain, Lincoln's own younger brother. Hyde is stunned, but recognition doesn't save him. Cain forces Hyde to join the hostages too, lining up the very men connected to his past. One patron makes the mistake of trying to be a hero. He moves against Cain, and Cain shoots him clean through the kneecap, dropping him screaming to the floor. As the man writhes in agony, Cain looks around the room and tells them all who's really to blame for the monster he's become. He points the finger at Hyde and at his brother Lincoln. And then, with the room hushed and terrified, Cain begins to tell his story, how a normal man became this. Cain narrates that he wasn't always like this. He explains that he was sent to HMP Belmarsh, one of London's most notorious and violent prisons, and that surviving inside those walls turned him into something inhuman. But to understand how he ended up there, you have to go back to the beginning, before the scars, before the steel teeth, before the killing. In the past, Cain was a talented, fast-fisted martial artist with a bad temper. He was good enough that he regularly beat gangsters in fights and cost them serious money. His own brother Lincoln, a ruthless loan shark, along with several other criminals, lost substantial sums because of Cain's skill. But back then Cain wanted something better. He dreamed of getting out of that world and starting a legitimate business of his own. To fund that dream, Cain made the mistake of going to Lincoln for a loan, and Lincoln, sensing an opportunity, pulled his younger brother deeper into the criminal world instead of helping him escape it. Lincoln gives Cain a job that sounds simple. A mark has picked up a package from one of Lincoln's men, and Cain just has to rob that person and bring the package back. Easy money, Lincoln promises. Cain agrees. He tracks down the target, a middle-aged woman carrying the bag, and snatches it from her. But the woman doesn't give up. She chases after him through the street, refusing to let go. In the chaos of the pursuit, disaster strikes. The woman runs out into traffic, and is struck by an oncoming car, killed instantly. What was supposed to be a quick robbery has just become a death. Cain is arrested and charged with manslaughter. And here, a detective named O'Hara lays out the truth about what really happened, the trap Cain walked into. Lincoln runs a cruel scam. He baits people who owe him money into acting as a courier or bagman, promising to forgive their debt if they do this one favor. But then Lincoln secretly arranges for that very bag to be stolen. The victim loses the package, fails the job, and ends up owing Lincoln even more than before. In other words, Cain was used as a tool by his own brother to trap another poor soul, and Cain's the one who got caught holding the crime. The police push Cain to turn on Lincoln, to give up his brother in exchange for leniency. But Cain refuses to cooperate. His loyalty to family, at this point, is still intact. That refusal costs him. A brutal sergeant named Evans handcuffs Cain and beats him savagely. And despite Cain having a clean record and no real history of serious crime, he is handed a harsh sentence and shipped off to Belmarsh, England's most violent prison. Inside, Cain's nightmare truly begins. He's thrown into a world where weakness means death. He gets pulled into fight after fight, taking brutal beatings and suffering severe injuries. His face gets carved up, his teeth get knocked out, even though he's usually fighting purely in self-defense, just to stay alive. The system doesn't see it that way. Every fight adds more time to his sentence. The more he fights to survive, the longer he's forced to stay in the very place that's destroying him. Slowly, painfully, the old Cain dies inside those walls. The man who once dreamed of a legitimate business becomes a cold-blooded killer, because that's the only way to live behind bars. He hardens into a weapon. The steel teeth, the scars, the dead eyes. This is what Belmarsh made him. Then, after several long years, one of the men who attacks Cain lets something slip during the fight. He reveals that Lincoln, Cain's own brother, has put a 20,000-pound bounty on Cain's head. That's why the attacks never stop. That's why prisoners keep coming for him. His own blood has marked him for death, and is paying good money to have him killed inside. The betrayal shatters whatever was left of Cain's loyalty. Meanwhile, Detective O'Hara learns about the bounty too. He comes back to Cain and once again asks him to give up Lincoln, to finally turn on the brother who so clearly wants him dead. This time, Cain is willing to deal, but on one condition. His mother is dying, and he demands to be allowed to visit her in the hospital before it's too late. That request is what brings us full circle to the beginning of the film. Cain is escorted out, but the officers drag their feet and delay him, and he arrives to find his mother already gone, robbed of his final goodbye by the very people escorting him. Cain snaps, beats the officers, and escapes, which leads him straight to that locked private bar, shotgun in hand, ready to settle everything. Back in the present, in the hostage standoff, night has fallen, and now the man Cain has really been waiting for finally arrives. His brother, Lincoln himself. Lincoln walks into his own bar to find it turned into a hostage scene, with his scarred, transformed little brother holding a gun on everyone. Lincoln tries to talk his way out of it. He appeals to Cain's better nature, speaking to him like the gentle younger brother he used to know, not understanding that that person no longer exists. Belmarsh burned that man away years ago. Lincoln keeps talking as though the old Cain is still in there somewhere. Then Hyde makes a fatal mistake. Instead of staying quiet, he starts mocking Cain and sneering about the people they conned and ruined over the years, the victims, the lives destroyed by Lincoln's scams. It's too much. Cain raises the gun and shoots Hyde dead on the spot. The room goes cold. Now Lincoln finally understands. His brother truly has changed into something merciless. With the pretending over, Lincoln drops the loving brother act. He openly admits it. Yes, he ordered the hit. He put the bounty on Cain's head. But then Cain reveals the truth that Lincoln got completely wrong. Lincoln had believed Cain talked to the police, that Cain became a snitch, and that's supposedly why he wanted him dead. Cain tells him flatly that he never said a word to the cops. He stayed loyal the entire time. And the rumor that he turned informant? That came from Sergeant Evans, the crooked cop who beat him, who spread the false story. Cain reveals he already tracked Evans down and killed him for it. The whole reason Cain was marked for death was built on a lie. Then Cain drops his final blow. He reveals that he's already emptied Lincoln's bank account. Every penny of Lincoln's fortune gone. He's ruined his brother completely, and now he announces he's going to kill Lincoln. As for everyone else in the bar, Cain offers them a way out. They can leave. This is between him and his brother, but loyalty to Lincoln, and maybe fear, keeps them in the fight. Bez, the barmaid, and Lincoln's remaining men all turn on Cain at once, swarming him in a desperate, bloody brawl. What follows is savage. Cain tears through them one by one, using everything Belmarsh taught him, killing most of them in the process. He takes damage too. He's stabbed during the fight, bleeding heavily, but he refuses to fall. By the end, The bar is littered with bodies, and Cain is still standing. Lincoln watches the carnage, genuinely shocked at just how vicious his brother's revenge has become. And in this final moment, Lincoln reveals the coldest truth of all. He tells Cain that he never even cared whether the snitch rumor was true or not. It didn't matter to him if Cain was innocent. The moment the rumor existed, Lincoln lost respect in the eyes of the criminal world, and that loss of respect, true or false, was something he simply could not tolerate. He was willing to have his own innocent brother murdered just to protect his reputation. That's the kind of man Lincoln really is, refusing to go down easy. Lincoln vows he'll survive this. Bez slips him a knife, and Lincoln lunges at Cain. The two brothers finally locked in a brutal, personal fight to the death. Blood against blood. It's fierce and close, but Cain, forged into a killing machine by years of hell, overpowers him. In the end, Cain drives the blade into his brother and fatally stabs Lincoln, ending the man who destroyed his life. With Lincoln dead and his revenge complete, Cain looks at Bez, the barmaid who fought against him and armed his brother. But he chooses to spare her. Perhaps he's simply done killing. Wounded and bleeding from his own stab wounds, Cain stumbles out of the bar and into the night. He staggers down the street until his body finally gives out, and he collapses onto a nearby bench, spent, having finished what he came to do. The story closes back with Detective O'Hara. In his office, O'Hara uncovers Cain's final act. Cain didn't keep the £2 million he drained from Lincoln's account for himself. Instead, he divided the entire fortune and sent it out to 147 people, every single victim that Lincoln's cruel scams had cheated and destroyed over the years. Even after becoming a killer, even after all the blood, Cain's last act was one of twisted justice, taking everything from the man who ruined so many lives and giving it back to the people he'd hurt. And that's the haunting ending of Avengement. The story of a decent man turned into a monster by betrayal and a broken system, who used everything that hell taught him to burn down the family that sold him out. Cain lost his freedom, his face, his mother, and finally his brother by his own hand, but he walked away having balanced every score. If you enjoyed this recap, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, and be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.